Good afternoon, David Atkins, back with another video by the grace of God. Today I'm going to talk more about the TAMI program, the Thought Amplifier and Mind Interface program. And I'm going to start out with a word of encouragement for believers, and this can apply to non-believers too. Something I came up with. Why isn't God protecting you? Has the devil tried to convince you lately, if you really had a God, you would not be going through what you are going through? People will always assign a reason to why you're going through what you're going through. Well, if I were her husband, I would have left her too. People will say stuff like that, not to you. They never say it to you. They just think it about you. They think that the reason bad things happen to you is because of something that you did. You've been so busy trying to figure out a reason, and God is trying to give you a revelation, not just you, but everybody watching you. God wants everybody to see you shake it off. God wants everybody around you to see you trust Him, though you're going through rough times. Just remember, it's nothing you did. God is refining you in the fiery trials. Because, I used to think when it's Target and stuff like, man, what'd I do? And, then the devil will come in and say, well, you ain't walking with God, la, 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 and it's all tricks, battlefield of the mind tricks. Okay, here's the Thought Amplifier and Mind Interface of the TAMI program. So this is just the beginning of it, because I got to go into some deep stuff all week on this, and I've been studying it. It's called EEG Cyber Hive Minds. In order for us to proceed in our understanding of a revolutionizing technology and its capabilities as a weapon, we need to define some concepts and vocabulary. EEG stands for electroencephalogram. It is a representation of the brain's electrical activity. Traditionally, electroencephalograms are gathered through probes placed all around the head. They measure minute electrical differences from each other that are representative of brain's activity near the probe. A brain map can be inferred from these voltage sensors. EKGs, electrocardiograms, work in the same way to measure electrical waves from the heart. MEG stands for magnetic encephalogram, and similarly measure the magnetic fields created from the ion flows in the brain. They have different trade-offs in terms of measuring and locating brain activity. A functional MRI is an active scanning technique used to also measure brain activity in real time as well as the structure. MRI stands for magnetic resonance imaging. It uses magnetic resonance to create photons that are representative of the type of atoms and bonding states that are in. Okay. Using probes to collect brain information has limitations beyond just the lack of mobility from the tethered wires attached to the user. It collects electrical information the best at the surface of the brain, but not deep into it. This is why so many probes need to be attached to the head in order to get a more refined picture of activity. And then this is out of Robert Duncan's book too, Project Soul Catcher. No, Matrix Decoded, my bad. I have been studying, he says, I've been studying the human mind for a good portion of my life, from neuroscience to cognitive modeling to art. And here's secret number one that has been suppressed by the forces of ignorance in the government. There was a patent that I will keep referring to throughout this book because of the importance of its work. It is published in the appendix. In 1974, Robert Malek, an employee of Dorn and Margolin, a major defense subcontractor in radar design, now owned by EDO Corporation, and even larger, all defense contractor in electronic warfare, invented a fairly simple radar device. That could read whole brain electrical activity at a larger distance. It has major advantages of no wires and full brain electrical activity analysis, not just points on skull surface. He discovered and perfected a way to use some simple electromagnetic oscillations of anywhere from 100 megahertz to 40 gigahertz to read brain waves by illuminating the brain and its electrical conductance, then reading return signals. The imaging method observes the changes of frequencies, amplitude, and phase, which represents the states of neuron depolarization throughout the brain. Secret 2. But more profoundly, he discovered that he could influence brain waves at precisely time with return training signal. he had no idea at this moment in history that he had accidentally destroyed democracy even as we envision it to be. The military and surveillance community immediately picked up on the patent and within 2 years had reprogrammed their communication and surveillance states and terrestrial phased arrays with new concepts. The rapid deployment of this technology occurred because it only required software changes in the already existing radar, imaging, and communication, terrestrial dishes, and satellites. Many additional spy satellites have been launched since to bolster the system. So in 1976, on the bicentennial of this great nation, a system called TAMI was born. TAMI is an acronym for Thought, Amplifier, and Mind Interface. A more invasive Big Brother technology came about before George Orwell's prediction of 1984. Secret 3. Stealth radar techniques were first recorded by observing the Russian bombardment of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow with microwaves. Using high-powered steered phased arrays and focused directed energy weapons from two sources next to each other, one can create a nearly undetectable scalar wave or destructive interference at the point of interest. With just a minor energy interaction, the interfering beams bounce back with a strong signal-to-noise ratio to be resolved at the sources again. This allows for any imaging technique to be done from extremely large distances. In effect, it makes distance irrelevant to the detection feature, be it radar, MRI, or ESR imaging. At the same time, the Russians had discovered and were developing similar capabilities. This accelerated the secret arms race that continues to this day. The research and capabilities have come a long way in the last 30 years. Even if one didn't have direct access to the knowledge of surveillance capabilities, one could project out in time 30 years' knowledge of technology developments increasing at an exponential rate. At that time, the military demonstrated the capability of reading automobile license plate from satellite images. In order to cover up and not draw attention to mind-reading radar, the whole field of psychic phenomena and paranormal psychology was invented to deceive the civilian populations of what was occurring. The Russians showed their hands when they started bombing the U.S. Embassy in Moscow with microwaves in the late 1960s. Then, when the 7 Russian woodpecker transmitters that began operation in 1976 pointed at the U.S., unfortunately, due to the nature of this new weapon, many human minds are needed to create the database of specific brain data necessary to increase the effectiveness on a larger and larger population. These are referred to as cataloging and cloning operations. In this context, cloning does not refer to human cloning, but EEG cloning. Many have misunderstood this fact, and then it was popularized by the TV series X-Files. These cloning operations are what plague the human race today, as every country feels the need to have this weapon that requires torturing and killing many of their own populations to develop. EEG cloning means to copy someone else's brainwaves onto another person. The discovery made by Robert Malek allows this to be done wirelessly anywhere in the world. A new military division emerged called the Psychic Warfare Unit, initially stationed in the Pentagon, but most likely it was rolled into the Psychological Operations, Electronic Warfare, and Informational Warfare units. Initially, this became a great intelligence gathering tool. Physically spying into other people's minds was an incredible feat. I don't use the term EEG cloning because it refers only to the special case of observing a target's mind. That is only one aspect of this technology. Malek discovered he could influence brainwaves just as easily as reading them. So at the other extreme, a psychic warrior can EEG clone his brainwaves onto a target. This is symbolized in the movie Matrix, where the agents take over random citizens' bodies while in pursuit of the heroes. The correct terminology to describe everything in between two extremes is EEG heterodyning. Heterodyning is an engineering term which means to mix signals. So EEG cloning is just a special case of EEG heterodyning, and it's heterodyning, if anybody wants to look it up. EEG cyber hive mind is another term used for EEG heterodyning for non-weapons use experiments. These are collectives of people who share one common set of brainwaves. They jokingly refer to the process of forcing someone into a collective as Borging them, a reference to the evil cyborg civilization from Star Trek. They're studying both the long-term effects of being in this kind of collective mind configuration, how to use its control, spy through, or disable or kill a target. They're also studying communication and organization without spy gadgets or any kind for synchronized missions. The emerging field which intersects at the physics of psychology is called psychophysics. The dynamics of the mind are well described from neuroscience reductionism. Artificial neural networks have been around for over half a century, but the new challenge is to map exactly the subjective experiences of the consciousness to the physics of the organic intelligence. Information signal processing, including biochemical and electromagnetic. The word psychophysics has additional connotations that are quite appropriate in the way this field has evolved in secret labs all around the world. The tool of psychophysicists are called psychotronics. In this area of research, that has given the rise to all the conspiracy theories on the New World Order, psychoterrorists, secret societies' involvement, mind control, and satanic cults. Mind control weapons are the holy grail, the ultimate weapon that has given birth to the world's most notorious sociopathic scientists, which in turn have spawned a generation of the most intense human suffering for weapons testing efficiency the people of this planet have ever endured. And I'm going to stop right there, and tomorrow I'm going to go more into this. That's just an introduction to get you to understand, what this TAMI is, or Thought Amplifier Mind Interface. That's what it stands for. And it's a new system rolling out. And so I'm going to be getting deep into how it works. And I hope you enjoyed this series, because I'm just going to call this, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet exactly, but I'm going to call it the TAMI series, but I don't know what I'm going to name it in my YouTube titles. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing good. God bless. I pray for y'all every night. So anyway, God bless y'all. Y'all have a great day.